counterfeits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, can I describe it? Used to describe it as the young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar has been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm high like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant, tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. It gets so lit, I guess so, bitch. Now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will.
Good evening, Sports Nonsense and Whiskey fans. It's your boy
Ladies
Pinky.
and gentlemen, and
I
your
don't do
boy
this as well as
Spicy.
Caleb.
I'm just getting this loaded here. I apologize. I'm a little late to the party, but we are here, and it is Tuesday. It's one of the greatest days of the week.
It's time to hang out, get some drinks, and talk some crap, man. I'm ready.
I know it.
I'm all for it.
It's
And
been a busy weekend of stuff.
since Caleb's not here, I can say what I want. Miss you, buddy. Hopefully you get to come in late. If not, it's all good. We got you.
Yeah, we got you covered, buddy. Got to take care of the fam.
Let's see. We always start off with some nonsense, some pop culture stuff.
Let's start with you. Let's start with what you did first this weekend, and then I'll cover the rest of the bases.
So I did see 2 movies this weekend. I saw Borderlands with Pinky Jr. I had never played the game, so I don't really have any background. You know, I was just going to see a movie, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's getting some really bad reviews. A lot of people crapping on it. I could see if you were a really diehard fan. You know, Pinky Jr. kind of broke it down for me. He enjoyed it. Even as a diehard fan of the games, he enjoyed the movie. He did say there's some things he could nitpick about it, but you know, without spoilers and stuff, I'll just say, like, you know, Jack Black steals the movie. Like, Claptrap is fantastic. Claptrap steals literally every scene.
And honestly, that's one of the main reasons why I want to see it. Is I love Claptrap as a character, but I also have, I don't want to say a hesitation when it comes to Jack Black, because that's not the right word. But, you know, he did Bowser, he's done Poe from Kung Fu, like, he's been in a lot of those types of, like, comedic relief situations.
He's a good voice actor, right?
He's a great voice actor. And that's where I'm going with this is, I'm glad they chose Jack Black. However, there is something in the back of my mind that would have loved to have seen Alan Tudyk be Claptrap. Which, if you don't know who that is, Alan Tudyk did the voice of the villain or the
all you gotta know is Pirate Steve. And Dodgeball?
Yes, yeah, there you go. Pirate Steve, Dodgeball. I was thinking like Frozen or Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger.
Or, I mean, he's good He is good in that one.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't
I was like, yeah,
count that out.
he's in
That was
one.
a great one.
If you haven't seen him, go check out Resident Alien. It's
Yep.
a fantastic,
yeah.
fantastic show. He plays such an awkward alien.
Yep.
That it's hilarious. It is hilarious. It's definitely like a kind of a low budget show, but fantastic, and he's great in it. So yes, I could see him doing Claptrap very easily, but I feel like the casting on this movie, they brought in Jack Black because it's a name, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why Kevin Hart's in it, and Kevin Hart, like, his character's gigantic and he's tiny. Doesn't quite make sense, but so I there's just parts to the casting where it's like it's kind of an odd cast. I don't think they develop it enough to be like, oh, the chemistry's off. I just don't think I don't know.
Yeah, and that was a debate we had earlier. Is the movie's just about or under 2 hours, which for something like that, or for a game that has a following like that, having been through this rodeo several times before with video game adaptations, this would have been better as a series, as like The Last of Us is.
Right. Or like Fallout.
Exactly. And Fallout is great. And we've talked about that before too. But
Fallout
no,
and Twisted Metal are fantastic.
I still need to watch Twisted Metal. That's next on my list after I finish Batman. So
hopefully you enjoy it. It's really good.
But and then I guess so. Speaking of video game adaptations and movies and all of these things. Or wait, you had one other movie you said you had watched. What was the other movie?
I did catch. It's on Apple TV. I caught The Instigators.
I've been thinking about that. That's the one with Matt Damon, right?
Yeah, it's Matt Damon. I like Matt Damon.
I love Matt Damon. I loved him in the Ocean's movies.
Ben Affleck and Mark Wahlberg. Like, those are my dudes. I feel like those are guys I could hang out with and like have a beer and chop it up.
Yeah.
But Matt Damon's in it. It's kind of, he's the fish out of water in the movie. It's kind of a heist gone wrong, and
because Casey Affleck's in it too, Ben Affleck's brother, and the rapper Jack Harlow.
Yeah,
right?
Jack Harlow's in it. Yeah, for a little bit. Casey Affleck and Matt Damon are the main two characters. Casey Affleck actually wrote it as well, and it was produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's production company as well. So that's kind of why it came to be. But a very fun, interesting movie. If you like Matt Damon, I can't see why you wouldn't like the movie. There's some cool car chase in there. Casey Affleck plays a very annoying character that's like really fun. He always
does.
Yeah. He's really kind of an annoying character. That's like his charm in the movie. But it's a lot of fun. It's on Apple TV, so it's free.
Cool.
I don't know if I tell
people
you have a
subscription.
I don't know if I'd run out and tell people like, oh yeah, you got to go see this movie in the theater, because they did release it in some theaters. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's definitely a good watch, sitting at home chilling. So I definitely would recommend checking that out. It's pretty good.
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely have to watch that then, because I saw that on my app this weekend. I was like, oh, I should have checked that out. For sure. So that is on the agenda as well. I've got a lot of movies to watch. So, and movies, man. So Disney had their Comic-Con
D23
this weekend. D23.
Is it always
D2? It's D2. It's D23. It's always been D23. I forget where it comes from. A lot of great movies are coming. I am excited for a handful of them. Some of them I would rather not even see touched or thought about in any way, shape, or form. But
come on, we all want Toy Story 5. Come on.
I don't know how many times I need to say goodbye to the same freaking toy. Like they like we had Toy Story 3 and that was it. Like I was done. I was happy. They were with a new child. It was fine.
I don't even remember Toy Story 4. Like, it just didn't.
It wasn't the only memorable part about that was Duke Kaboom, and that was because it was Keanu Reeves. That was it.
I just don't remember anything about that movie at all. And at that point, it's like, do we really need another one?
Right. So yeah, and Toy Story 5, take it or leave it. My Toy Story ends with 3. That's just where I'm at on that whole spectrum. We got our first look at Agatha all along, which no one really asked for, but we're getting it anyway. I hope it's entertaining.
That's the
Catherine Hahn.
Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that will be. I'm looking forward to it.
I think they're going to bring more. They're as part of what they're doing. They're trying to bring magic more involved into the multiverse, which I think is going to be a big part of Doomsday. So I think it'll make sense.
Yeah, we'll see. And with this being the second and only Marvel project this year, I'm hoping it's good.
Did that come out this year?
September 18th is when it's supposed to premiere.
Oh wow! I didn't. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Okay. So it's coming. I hope it's good, but you're following this guy, so
it's got to be better than Echo.
And I haven't even watched Echo.
Echo wasn't horrible, but it's just something that isn't needed.
It's a filler, and I'm sorry. There's been enough filler bullshit. I'm sorry, but in Marvel Cinematic Universe, that finally we're getting acknowledgement of the giant Celestial that's been sitting in the middle of the freaking ocean in Captain America in February next year. So I'm looking forward to those answers because we've been waiting on that since Eternals came out, and I think that's been 4 years, almost 5 now. So
I think it came out right during COVID, or no?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Right after?
No, I'm sorry. It came out. It came out in 21. So almost 3 years.
As we kind of got out of COVID, yeah.
So really looking forward to finally continuing that with some of the rumors I've been reading online. I'm very intrigued to how they do it, and I won't discuss that any further. Skeleton Crew, which for those of you that don't know is another Star Wars show. You can, all the Star Wars, whatever. We have all this Marvel crap. But Skeleton Crew looks great. It is basically the Star Wars Goonies. So I'm super stoked. And Jude Law, I love him. I've always loved him as an actor. I wish that he and honestly Robert Downey Jr. would stop freaking making pointless movies and coming back as Dr. Doom and go back to Sherlock Holmes, because there still needs to be a story told there. But looking forward to seeing him do his thing in Star Wars as a Jedi. Hopefully, again, we're going to get a better series than what The Acolyte turned out to be.
And I haven't even watched The Acolyte yet.
Yeah, and you're not missing much. So for those that really care about the Disney things, Zootopia 2 and Frozen 3, when those came out, I mean, Frozen 3, we'll find out how that'll be. But Zootopia 2
wasn't very memorable.
I liked it better than the first one because it had an edgier tone to it. I kind of liked the story a bit more. I just enjoyed it, but again, I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, you know what sounds good? Let's put on Frozen 2. No. So, those look great. But really, let's talk about what we're here for. The threequels that matter. That first one being Incredibles 3. After waiting for so long for a sequel, we're actually getting a threequel in less than a decade. So I'm hoping Pixar still has the magic to keep this train rocking, because Incredibles 1 and 2 are some of the best Disney movies in my opinion.
I don't know if 2, I don't think 2 is on the same level as 1, but it was still very enjoyable.
Oh, absolutely. 1 is by far the superior, but 2 is there are arguments to be made that it's as good. And Tron, Ares. Mm-hmm. I know you're not a huge Leto guy.
I'm just not a Tron guy. I don't get it.
I love Tron. So on Pinky, you cannot tell me there's never been a moment like when you were growing up that you're like, man, it'd be cool to just go into a video game and just be in the video game. Like, that's anytime I think of Tron, that I'm like, bro, that's it.
I mean, no, I could see that. Like, no doubt, I wanted to be Link and go on adventures in Zelda, right? And go find Zelda. Yeah, that sounds amazing. But, you know, we're in the real world. We're not in the Matrix. You know, we can't do that.
But that's what Tron is like. Hey, this could happen. You know, that's the whole point of you go to the movies is this is a possibility, right? So, but this time, instead of us going into the digital world's coming to real life. So I really like how that story will be told because that's been a main objective for a while. And I'm very excited for where Jeff Bridges plays into this after the ending of the second one with how we twist this whole story to now how they're coming to us. And what better way to do it with one of the best musical minds in the world with Trent Reznor doing the score. So, I mean, a part of me hoped and dreamed that for enough money, Daft Punk would come from out of retirement and score this movie. It was a long shot, a very long shot. But I'm excited for what Trent will do because he's already won several Academy Awards for other scores he's done, but this is specifically 9 Inch Nails doing Tron. And you know, I can get shunned for this by all the haters. I don't care. I went through and scoured the Twitterverse and found a recorded half a trailer of Tron, and it looks dark, it looks gritty, it's going to be awesome. So ready for October 25th, 2025 to see that. And for more to come on that.
Oh Lord, you've got a long time to wait for that.
And oh buddy, am I going to keep up with it as much as I can. As much as I can. Now this one, Pinky, is for you and I to talk about because we had a discussion earlier today. Personally, I am over this whole Disney live action remake crap. I love Stitch. He's been one of my favorite Disney animals for a long time. I don't need a live action movie of it. It's going to be entertaining. I will still go see it because it's Stitch. But I don't need, like, the movie's already perfect. I don't need another version of it. Because I don't need them to justify the changes or whatever that is that they've already needed to do. Because you can't even watch the original Lilo and Stitch on Disney Plus because they've edited it. I mean, for some, again, understandable reasons, but it's not the original movie. It's not what I had seen, and it bothers me. And that's why I also have original copies of Star Wars before George Lucas all fucked it up. So, but I don't need it. I didn't need a remake of Mulan without Mushu. Like, I get they tried to historically justify the movie because they were trying to keep it more grounded and real. But I'm sorry, but you made a movie with Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy's the star. Like, that's it. You just can't have another movie without it.
Mushu makes that movie. Like, he makes the movie. Like, he steals every scene he's in.
And, you know, I'm a audio person. I love movies and I pick them apart. I didn't need a remake of The Lion King. And I didn't need someone else to be Simba. I just didn't need that. Matthew Broderick, for the rest of my life, is Simba. Period. Jeremy Irons is Scar. Like, that's just it.
Right. He does a great. He's awesome as Scar.
I don't need a Mufasa prequel of how he came to be. These are I don't need that. If you want to give me a good story, let's try other things that have failed before. But I don't need a remake of a successful venture. That's why I pray that they don't touch 2 movies, Atlantis and Treasure Planet. Don't go near them. Please leave them as they are.
Oh, they're coming for Treasure Planet, buddy. You know they are.
I don't.
know it.
So if I don't believe that actually, and the reason is because it cost Disney money when it came out. It did not. It would actually on paper was not a successful film.
Well, and that's because it's not. That's one of the few films that when you kind of sit down and watch it, it's not really a kid's film.
No,
it doesn't have the same
and
energy of bring your kids to the movies.
But the other problem that and this is where you could really tell a box office in things is when this also came out, it was going up against Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets and Die Another Day with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, done.
So like it didn't have a successful point anyway because of those other films. But it is a cult following. It's a cult classic. So it has its people, but I really do not think Disney will touch that with a 10-foot pole. And if they do, then they have no argument to not redo John Carter, which I thought was a great movie anyway. I don't know why people hated it. I loved John Carter. But if that's how they're going to base it, then they should remake that movie.
Yeah, I didn't hate Prince of Persia either.
And that was, again...
that's not Disney, though, is it?
That is a Disney movie based off of a video game that was... it was okay. I would entertain a remake of Prince of Persia. I would go for it. But then now we're going back to video games, and then I'm going to demand an Assassin's Creed remake, even though I thought Michael Fassbender's movie was awesome.
Right. Oh, there's so many things we just got to come. We got to get together and do our remake show. Here's the movies that truly need a remake.
We did the few that about a month and a half, 2 months ago. So I'm totally down to put together another list because there's plenty of movies. And actually I was thinking earlier, Pinky, because we had the discussion with movie times and lengths is, where Pulp Fiction ends up on people's lists with other Tarantino movies. So I will be putting a poll up on our page later to see what the general population has to say.
I'll be more than happy to argue with all of those people.
And that's why we do it. That's the beauty of it, right?
And I just, again, like we talked about, I feel like it was a good starter for him. It's an interesting movie. It does have sharp dialogue, which is what he's known for. But most of his movies that came after that are better movies with better stories. Mm-hmm. I feel like people hold on to that one because it was his big first hit. But I think Reservoir Dogs, and I told you earlier, I enjoyed True Romance, which he wrote more than Pulp Fiction. And I still think Pulp Fiction's a good movie. I just don't see it as this grand, I think they had it in the top 10 of all time. Yeah. It's not better than Django or Inglourious Basterds. It's not.
I think Pulp Fiction's better than both of those.
Oh, not even close. It's not even close.
See,
the performances from Christopher Waltz and Leonardo DiCaprio in Django. Oh.
But man. See, the other thing, Pinky, you also have to think about is, and I mean, you and I don't think I've really got into this too much when we hang out, but movie quotes. You get a couple of quotes from Bastards. You get a couple of quotes from Django, but Pulp Fiction is just such a quotable movie. It's not a quarter pounder with cheese. It's a Royale with cheese. When I kid you not, when I went to Germany, my very first time, and I was only there for a couple of weeks because my dad and I were house hunting. I told him, I know we're here in Germany and this is going to be the stupidest thing. We need to go to McDonald's and I need to order a Royale with cheese. Just to say I ordered a Royale with cheese. Anytime.
It's just a cheeseburger, man.
I know it's just a cheeseburger, but again, that's just, you're in Europe. That's how that movie, after you go through, okay, honey bunny, you get into the Royale with cheese, because
So
he's back
and
from Amsterdam.
so again, in that movie, the best two parts of the movie are the very beginning with Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, and then going and getting the briefcase, which we don't even know what's in the briefcase, which is interesting.
That was great.
As a
I
point.
love that ploy. I love
And
that
then
ploy.
the very end of the movie with Eli Roth
What?
or Tim Roth.
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth. Those are the like all the John Travolta stuff. I don't like at all. All the drug and
Bro.
overdose crap. I don't like that at all. Like it just doesn't serve any
gotta-
purpose.
You mean
It's
I
not
gotta stab her
interesting to
3
me.
times? No, you just gotta stab her 1 time, but you gotta bring it in a stabbing motion so you pierce the breastplate.
Yeah, none of that was interesting to me at all.
It's
It just doesn't. And that's where I think that's where the movie falters for me. Like that whole arc just doesn't do anything. And then
I
it gets
get it.
weird with the Gimp and everything, which is
Bring out the Gimp. But the Gimp's sleeping.
It's funny weird to me,
You're gonna have to go
but
wake
it's
him
just
up.
weird, right? So yeah, again, good movie, just not all time amazing movie that everybody seems to think it is. So,
But that for those watching, I will be posting a poll for that here either tonight or tomorrow and get everybody else's opinion. Otherwise, going I guess from the nonsense, is there any other nonsense to cover here? Other than aliens out this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, so be prepared to be scared.
My wife is so excited that it's coming out because then we'll stop here having the trailer play on Good Morning Football. We watch Good Morning Football every morning, and they have a really creepy trailer that they play.
I love it.
And it like she's just like, I'm so sick and tired of seeing that every morning. You know, it's not what she wants to see at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, hey, it gets the juices going. You know,
Revival. It's something, that's for sure. Well, let's talk some sports.
So yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead, Robert. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, so with going from all the nonsense to the going to sports now, Olympics are officially over. And what better way to close it out with being on a beach in LA with Snoop Dogg doing his thing, and then of course the man himself, Tom Cruise, just jumping in like a badass. Super, super awesome. These games were interesting to watch. They were very fun, very controversial at times. This whole bronze medal situation is going to turn out to be quite the story, I think, in sports for a minute. If they're going to share it, contest it, whatever's going to happen, I'm very curious to see how this is going to be handled going forward. I personally think that they should all share it. If this whole situation, but you also look at the United States high jumper who would have put the United States in gold medal lead had he shared the medal with his opponent, and they didn't. They did a jump off. So you pick and choose your battles, I guess. But overall, great games. For those of you who are not local here in Colorado to us, a very interesting statistic that you all should know is that if any of the athletes in America, or just as a whole, trained here and were its own country, they would have taken 3rd overall in the Olympics.
Now, I saw that post. Did they calculate removing all of those athletes that train in Colorado out of the counts?
Yes.
So see where they would actually fall.
So the United States, so Colorado Springs itself would have had 18 gold medals, 25 silver, and 23 bronze on its own, which is quite the statement itself. I mean, we're Olympic City for a reason. So that being from Colorado Springs, getting to see the committee buildings and the Olympic Training Center, and it's
The Olympic Museum.
It's great, which I actually have yet to go to. I really want to. I've done the training center 2 or 3 times. I one time I even had I was with a pretty large group, but we had paid the additional cost to be toured by athletes. So I think with the ones that we had it was a swimmer and a wrestler. That was awesome. So if y'all are ever in Colorado Springs, I highly recommend going to do the Olympic Training Center, because it's quite the statement, I think.
Yeah, I will say I was happy to see the Olympics close out.
Hey, that just means now we got preseason. So, but we'll get to that.
My wife made me watch more Olympics than I think I've ever watched. So I was there. I was in it. It would really hurt when my phone was almost dead and I had to charge it. So then I actually had to sit and watch. I can say I don't mind swimming. I am not a fan of gymnastics. I can say that wholeheartedly. And I think one of the funniest things was, like, they had the announcer, and the announcer would go through the routine, and he'd be like this, and he'd be like, "Oh, that's going to be a 1/10 of a point here, and because of this," and then they'd be like, "This should be a really good score," and the score would come back, and it was like not any close to what this guy thought it was, and I was like, "Wait, what's going on here? How's this, like, we've got this announcer, he seems to know what he's talking about, but everything that he would score, like, the judges are scoring way differently." So, like, I don't, again,
And
I think one of the things I don't like is it leaves a lot of the scoring to interpretation, and that's probably what I don't like with swimming. Your hand touches the wall first, you won. In a race, your chest crosses the line, you won. Like, we have a definite, like, winner versus judges looking at a routine and being like, "Oh, this," it's so subjective, right? So
to a point,
I think that's a little bit of why I don't like I didn't enjoy the gymnastics part of it.
And I kind of grew up around it. And I mean, my sister was a somewhat formally trained ballerina, so we were always at different competitions and things, and the amount of times you hear the same song over and over again for somebody doing a different dance to it gets really old after a while. But I get what you're saying, Pinky, but having been around it, I can pick out those little flaws and see kind of like, okay, so this is where they are coming at this judging point, and this is like when freaking Steve did this pommel horse routine and just crushed it. I mean, that was one of those things, unless you know what that really takes and can see those things, it's really hard to say, oh yeah, that's a gold medal right there. It really takes that, like, eye, if you have to watch it. So I get what you say, because yes, it is subjective, but there is a part of it that is pure form. And I have a lot of respect for that, just coming from a ballet aspect, because I've been there for a while. But
I definitely have respect for the technique and the strength. I mean, the really crazy strength they have to do a lot of the different events.
And they're no bigger than I am. I mean,
right.
Really, the gymnasts. I honestly, if I were to go back and try and do something, I would probably go to be a gymnast, because yeah.
We'd have to thicken you up a little bit.
I need to get some meat on these bones and eat twice what I'm eating now, but that's a conversation for another day. I've been trying to gain weight since I was a junior. That's no different.
Yeah, I wish I could say I could help with that, but I know it's all genetics.
I'll take any donations.
All right.
Otherwise, that's pretty much it for Olympics.
One other event that I loved. The wife thought it was crazy. I've always loved badminton. In high school, our PE or civics teacher, I think it was a civics, was actually a bronze medalist in the like over 50 badminton. And like, so I've always had this thing about badminton. I really enjoy badminton. It's crazy.
I love table tennis, so I mean, I can't judge you too
Doesn't
much.
make sense, but I love badminton. And like, if you threw out a shuttlecock right now, I would just be like, let's go. I would, yeah, I love it. I still feel bad. I was in high school and we played in gym class. We would play pretty competitive badminton.
I mean, it's gym class. If you're not competitive, I don't know what you're doing.
And we were playing, and I just remember like someone lofting it up, and I just came up, jumped, and spiked the hell out of it, and it hit this girl in the eye, gave her a huge black eye, and it was like, it was February, it was Black History Awareness Month, and they were doing like this Black History Awareness dance or something, and she was like one of the maids of honor at this event. And of course, she had to do it with this big black guy. I was like, oh, I felt really bad about it, but I was still like, you should have blocked it, or you should have moved.
Right. I mean,
So,
hey,
I love badminton. I do.
I love table tennis. I love that Ant got into it. I thought that was awesome.
If you've played table tennis and then you see the actual table tennis guys playing, like it takes it to a whole new level. Like I don't even know how those guys have the hand-eye coordination to do that. It's amazing. Power to them.
Yeah.
Badminton, table tennis. I watched those events and I was into those. But again, and for me, there's a winner there, right? It's not subjective. They win. They're entertaining.
It's open to interpretation. Pinky doesn't like that. Noted.
I just don't. I just don't. That's just me, man. So
hey, I get it. I mean, but that's also the competitive aspect. Like there's a different competitive that you go after versus what other people go after.
I just like, we know there's a winner when certain things happen and when things are subjective. Again, for the most point, and again, being the dumb American, when I watch certain events, I couldn't tell you what was good or bad. Just, hey, I could tell you, okay, when they landed and then they hopped, they're not supposed to hop. So I know that's bad. But other than that, when they're doing their spins and flips and all that, and I'm like, wow, that's all really amazing. How can that be bad? Like, so again, that's just where I'm at with that.
Makes sense.
Just not a gymnast, and that might just be because I'm a fat guy and I couldn't do any of those things, so it doesn't interest me.
That's fair.
I stay in my wheelhouse, Robert. I stay in my wheelhouse.
No judgments. You're not. You're not. I'm not judging.
All right. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I'm already done with preseason. Preseason football is like, it's like that beginning of, I am such a drug addict for football that like I need it. And then when you get preseason football, you're so excited, you want it, and then you watch it and you're like, I really don't want this.
It's a love-hate relationship. It's a love-hate.
A lot of the football is really bad.
I mean,
it's really bad.
I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I mean, Madden is out now, so you could do that. I'll just put that out there.
I could do that. Again, I probably watched 4 or 5 games, and that's only because I bet on them, which was kind of up and down. So there's that. But there again, there's just certain teams do certain things. Certain teams have better rookies or better depth, and it all kind of plays out. And then certain teams just make a lot of mistakes, and some teams just don't put any effort or care. And so again, it's just overall with half the teams deciding not to play their starters at all in preseason, it's good for the younger guys who need experience and need playing time, but it gets to a point, man, like for the fans, like if you're a season ticket holder, you shouldn't even have to pay for preseason games. They should just give them to you, and then you could like give them to friends or family or like whoever. I've had people like, oh, you want preseason tickets to this, $20. Nah, man, I'm not paying. Like, if you want to give them to me for free, cool, man. I'll take them for free. I'll go and enjoy a couple beers, take my son, whatever. But I'm not paying for preseason games because I
Which,
know what I'm getting.
I mean, and now Pinky, I'm just gonna try and be very careful with how I phrase this. So for those of you that don't know, I've only ever been to one professional football game, and it was a preseason game. It was like 2009. Yeah, it had to be 2009. And it was the Detroit Lions, funny enough, and the Broncos. And the Lions actually won that game.
I don't think that was preseason. I think that was early regular season.
It was preseason. It was a preseason game.
Because I've gone to a Lions Broncos game early in the season where they kicked the shit out of us. I've been there. Had to be. It was. I think mine was 2011. It was the Tebow year. That was an ugly game too. Calvin Johnson caught a deep one from Matt Stafford. Cost me a fantasy game. The guy I was with had Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson. He was so excited.
And I really gotta.
You might be right.
Research, because I'm almost positive it was a preseason game. Because it was in Tebow as well. I got a Tebow jersey.
That wasn't preseason, man. That was an actual
August 14th, 2009. Yes, it was. 17-16. Oh, wait, nope, that was a different game. What is this? Nope, just kidding. Let me check. Hang on. No? Was it 2010 then? Had to be 2010.
We just don't normally play the Lions in preseason. They're not usually one of the teams that we've played in preseason. That's why.
25-20 it had to have been that game. August 21st, 2010.
Okay. Yep. Okay. That'd match up. So let's see. Let's go over the ugly.
Yep. You lay it on me, Pinky. What's the ugly here, and then we'll get into some QB talk.
Anybody that had to watch the Cowboys-Rams game, that was ugly.
Ooh,
it was ugly.
It doesn't sound pretty. It doesn't sound pretty.
It was 13-12. Trey Lance looked awful.
Oof.
Stetson Bennett threw 4 interceptions.
Oof.
He did lead the game-winning drive to win the game. But before that, it was really bad. The best part of that is watching Cowboys and Rams fans beat up on each other on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
Guys, it's a preseason game.
Right.
Preseason game. It's not... If it should never... Sports should never lead to brawls and fights. They just shouldn't.
Never mind.
I get it, man. But it shouldn't.
Okay. So I get...
It's just a game.
I get the sentiment. I get the game portion of the aspect of it. I do get. Now, you're also talking to a person who deals in the soccer world.
I get it.
If you go to the wrong pub,
right,
wearing the wrong team, you will get stabbed.
Right.
Or it will not end well for you.
Where that is gang mentality.
I don't disagree with you.
Which it's just not right when we're talking about it's just a game. We're not out there. We're not the ones playing. We're just fans. We're rooting for our team. If you want to talk some trash and have some fun, that's fine. Let's not let it get to a point where we're throwing blows. I've taken Andy, our buddy Andy, to Chiefs games. I haven't told him yet, but I'm going to take him to the Chiefs game this year as long as he gets the day off. Well,
you're telling him now because he's going to watch later.
Yeah, he's going to watch it later. So, Andy, you and Aaron, you're invited. It's the last game of the season, Broncos Chiefs. Mahomes won't be playing, so it'll be good for me, bad for you. But we're going. You just got to get the day off. Or at least, you got to get the day off. But I'd take him, and he'd wear his Chiefs gear, and there'd be some really obnoxious fans. When you sit in the 500s, it's really bad. That's where a lot of the, people who don't have a lot of money will sit up in the 500s, drink a lot, have a good time. But then there's some people that are just obnoxious and mean, and they give them so much trash. And like there's heckling, there's talking trash, and then there's just being downright like mean and vile. And that's where, thankfully Andy's a guy with a cool head on his shoulders that just doesn't play into that. He smiles and waves and will laugh back at you and things like that. He doesn't take it too serious. The people that do take those things too serious, though, like you're fighting. There are fights, and I've seen them. I've seen fights at Ravens games. I've seen fights with Raiders, Chargers. It just seems to be a thing, and it's just like, guys, it's just a game. Yeah, I hate those teams. I do. And
Raiders, Broncos, man, that's not any better.
It's not. It's not. It's just one of those things that, guys, we don't. It should never come to violence. Like, we're all just trying to have a good time, trying to live our lives. It should never end. It should never go to violence. That's just my thing. And I know soccer's on a whole different level of that. Like, they will kill you if you're, saying the wrong thing, wearing the wrong jersey. I get it. That's why I would never go see a game in South America. Like, it's not going to happen.
And I mean, even like, there are designated away team sections for those diehards. Like, it's no joke. One of the Bundesliga games I got to see was Stuttgart and Borussia Dortmund, and I forget what the protest was, but the Borussia Dortmund team or fans that were sitting in that section took it so to the heart. They didn't come into the game for like 20 or 30 minutes. Like, it was an insane amount of time. And that's dedication. I mean, there are loyal fans to every fan base, but I will die on this hill until someone shows me otherwise. A soccer fandom is one of the more dangerous but exciting fandoms to be a part of, because again, if you get into it, you are committed.
Well, that's where again, in other countries, they don't have, in most of these countries where soccer is king, they don't have other sports like we have.
No.
Like, you're the soccer team is your only team. You don't have a basketball team and a baseball team and a hockey team. You have soccer. That's what you have. So it allows, like, and that just kind of breeds that whole like family. Like, hey, if you're a fan, I'm a fan. We're family. And because again, you don't have any other teams that you're rooting for, right? Whereas here in America, you have like guys who are Broncos fans, and somehow they're a Lakers fan, or they're a Broncos fan and a Yankees fan. Weird stuff like that. It's just they've got multiple different teams, so it's harder to bring that family aspect. Most of the time, if you go to a Broncos game and you're one of the fun, exciting people that walks around and just high fives everybody for Broncos, you can build that unity and family. But yeah, soccer's on a whole different level when it comes to that, for sure.
And it's always funny because my dad lives in Germany, and he coached me in soccer one year. I was always the soccer guy. But he and his wife are, I think, season pass holders for the professional quote unquote basketball team in Ludwigsburg, which is just outside of Stuttgart. Which is very super cool. But I don't know the fan base as well for that over there. But I don't think it comes even close to holding a candle to, again, what the soccer fan base is.
Right. Definitely not. Let's see. What else do we got? We went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, we did. Well, you were talking about the nasties. So it was the Cowboys and the Rams. So what other nasties has gone on here?
Man, earlier the Thursday night games were freaking god awful. So of course,
well, one of them got postponed, didn't they? It was the Bears game, wasn't it?
Well, no, you had the Hall of Fame game which was the Bears and the
the
Texans.
one that I was talking about.
That
Yeah,
got
that's what I'm
pretty
thinking.
much canceled. So then the following week, this last Thursday, we had Patriots, Panthers, Lions, Giants. Oh,
I don't even want to.
man.
We're not talking.
Dude, it was just like if you were in the Patriots, Panthers, that game was so bad and it was raining. I felt bad for all of those fans. All the Patriot fans there, Panthers fans. It was in Gillette, so mostly Patriots fans. Just awful football, awful weather. I will say that's your preview of the two teams with the top two picks. Like, I think those will be the worst two teams in the league. Well, at the end of the season, I'd be willing. I might look for the bet if it's out there, if it's available on DraftKings. I think the Patriots are going to have the number one pick. They're going to be that bad. So I think they still have a little bit of cachet from Bill Belichick, but he ain't there no more. He's not running, and that roster top to bottom is bad. It's bad.
And just touching on the Lions real quick, man. I'm so stressed. It's not even funny. Luckily, Terrion Arnold just has a torn pec, so we're good there. But Gibbs has got a hamstring injury, and it is unclear what that looks like.
You said Terrion Arnold's got a torn pec?
Bro, you are missing that. Yeah, there's been 3 key Lions players that are injured right now.
I didn't hear that one. I did hear the Gibbs injury, which is
Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, and then Jahmyr Gibbs.
Suffered a pec injury.
But he's expected to be back. But again, I'm still stressed because that's 3 key Lions players.
He didn't tear it. He didn't tear it then.
No.
If he tore it, he'd be out for the season. Like that you're out. If you tear your pec, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's not too bad. The Gibbs one is what's worrisome because hamstrings. Once you've got that hamstring issue, it's so easy for it to just pop back up. It's also easy for your body to compensate in other areas and then something else pop. So let's hope. We all want Gibbs to do well, especially if you draft him in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been some injuries. Hollywood Brown, he's got a shoulder injury, 4 to 6 weeks for him. Who else? There's a couple major ones. McCaffrey's out for the preseason with a calf strain as well. JJ McCarthy has a torn meniscus. He's having surgery. He's going to be out undetermined. The surgery will depend on how long he's out. Which we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. That's probably for Sam Darnold. That's really good. That's really good. So, Sam Darnold was under some pressure because JJ had a really good game, and every time JJ has a good game, it's going to put more pressure on the coaches to keep JJ on the bench where the crowd wants him in, and that's always a battle. And that just puts more pressure on Darnold. And every time you're the quarterback and you've got a short leash where you're like, if I mess up, I throw a pick, I'm going to get pulled. You just don't play as well. You just don't play free, right?
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So if you look down the list of games, all of the games, pretty much most of them were very low scoring, not entertaining, which is typically what you get in preseason, which is why I say, we get so excited. And then once they come, you're like, oh yeah, it's preseason. That's why we don't really care. Right. Trying to think, was there anything interesting? The best game of the weekend was literally the Broncos game. And that's not even Broncos bias. It's just, it was back and forth for most of the game. So 34-30, it's the highest scoring game of the weekend.
Right.
So, if you're watching something, you're kind of going back and forth. It at least keeps the crowd going. Most of these are 16-14, 17-14, 24-23, 33-6, 20-17. Like, it's just not, not a lot of like big scores, blowouts, anything like that. So,
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the bad of preseason because it's preseason. But let's talk about the good.
Are we gonna start with QBs then?
Yeah, we got to talk about the QBs. So,
well, let's start with Caleb. Let's give me what you got on Caleb. I didn't catch a lot this weekend, so I'm needing some catch up here, man.
Well, first of all, let's just start as a kind of a painting the picture a little bit. In the draft in April, right, in Detroit, we had 6 quarterbacks go in the first 12 picks. We had offensive players go with like the first 14 picks, which is like unheard of. And it's just really crazy to see that happen. And the quarterbacks led the way, right? That's what everybody was talking about. That's what everybody really cares about. Quarterbacks lead, they run the league, right? It's a quarterback-driven game. That's just what it is. So when you have 6 guys get drafted in the first round, going to QB-needy teams for the most part, it definitely creates that buzz. Now, Caleb Williams he's absolutely under the most pressure of any quarterback. You're the number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm. He's getting $25.5 million. I haven't watched Hard Knocks yet. I've just seen the trailer. I still need to get up on that, but
So Hard Knocks was awesome. I really enjoyed Hard Knocks. The first episode, second episode came out tonight. I'll have to check that out tomorrow morning.
I thought it was Sundays. Was I wrong?
It's Tuesdays.
Okay. So then I'm only 2 weeks behind. So I got time.
Yeah. So after the preseason game, they need time to edit the clips from the game.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
So we'll get the new episodes out tonight. Caleb was as advertised in his first showing. Now, as I've told everybody, keep in mind, he's got of any number 1 quarterback that's ever been drafted, he has probably the best situation that a number 1 quarterback's walked into. Most of the time when a team's drafting number 1, they don't have 3 they don't have 3 great wide receivers. They don't have a decent O-line. They don't have a running back. They don't have all these pieces in place before he gets there. The Bears are just lucky enough that the Panthers were so desperate to trade them so much to get that number 1 pick last year for Bryce Young, right? And then they just lucked into this because the Bears actually went 7-10, 7-10 or 6-11, I believe, last season. Pretty good from them. Like they did well, and they just got better throughout the season. So that's why he comes in with a pretty damn good team around him. Lots of hype. He's got the generational hype behind him. People saying he's the best prospect since Andrew Luck in 2012. They're putting him on that like Elway, Luck, Caleb Williams. So there's a lot of intrigue, right? There's just so much, and there is so much hype around Caleb Williams. It goes without saying he's the most hyped Chicago athlete since Michael Jordan. Like, that's how hyped he is. Now, again, will he live up to that hype? Time will tell. But that's the level it's at right now. Bears fans have never had a true quarterback that they drafted. They don't have a 4,000-yard thrower. No quarterback for the Bears has ever thrown for 4,000 yards. Let that sink in. Like, none. The Browns have a 4,000-yard thrower. The Lions, the Jets, all the teams that you would think have been horrible the last 30 years, they all have guys that have thrown for 4,000. The Cardinals. The Bears have not had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards. So, what he showed, again, calm, cool, was able to make plays in and out of the pocket, really good throws. It was just really solid. And he put on a show, and Bears fans should be excited. And again, I do think every fan base should have that guy at some point in time. Every fan base should have that moment in time where they get to, they win a championship and they have that quarterback that like everybody can get behind. So it's good to see. I'm rooting for him. I am rooting for him, and I'd still want the Lions or the Packers to win right now over those guys, but I'm rooting for Caleb to do well and live up to those expectations, and I think he will. The only thing that's going to take Caleb down is if the Bears can't protect him at all.
Yeah, and that's the big question, right? That's the big question,
right? And a lot of teams aren't throwing weird schemes at you in preseason. They're not throwing weird blitz packages. So again, if guys look, I don't always look for. I don't look at their stats. You got to watch the game. You got to see like when they take the snap and there's some pressure, can they move? Do they just move to the side and then throw to the right guy? Do they make the right decision? They're just little things you look for versus just looking what their stats are.
Yeah,
those stats can be empty. They can't tell the whole picture. You just want to see a guy who looks like he knows what he's doing, and he does. He absolutely does. He did have one great throw where he was getting outside the pocket. It's definitely a ball you think, oh, he could throw it away, and he does a Mahomes throw where he just kind of throws it off his back foot, and it goes right to the tight end for like 25 yards. Like, it was awesome. It was an awesome throw. So
cool.
Kudos to Bears fans. You got a good one. And it was a good start. We'll see what he does. We'll see if they play him this weekend. Sometimes they may play him a little bit more week 2. They may not play him at all. You didn't see any of it, so you can't.
Right? Yeah, I'm just going off of what you're saying. So I'll definitely need to catch some highlights. I'm looking forward to kind of catching up on everything from this last weekend. So. But anyway, so we got Caleb here, which now takes us to one of my picks that I was interested in following. And that was Mr. Jaden Daniels at the Washington Commanders, and hoping that the Commanders are going to be somewhat of a decent team again. So kind of,
I still think they're going to be a work in progress.
Sure. I mean, they're definitely rebuilding. I wouldn't say they're not going to be strong for like this season, but probably in the season 2 or 3 to come, I think they'll be better.
I think they're going to be a solid team pretty quickly. I just don't know if it'll be this year as they move away from the stink that was Daniel Snyder. But Daniels, I think he only got one series. Looked sharp. Looked great. Ran for a touchdown. Had a pretty deep ball. I can't remember who caught the deep ball for him. Might have been McLaurin. I love Scary Terry. Scary Terry is way underrated. He's an awesome receiver that's really not had a quarterback to throw him the ball. Now he will have a quarterback that can throw the ball. They should be exciting. Again, he only did one series, so you didn't really, he's the starter. They've already named him, just like Caleb. Caleb was named the starter right away. Jaden's pretty much been named the starter. So they're not going to put him at a lot of risk. But looked sharp, looked good. Everything was clean. So he definitely gets a good grade as well. Like if you are a Commanders fan, I feel like you're going to be excited as well that you got your guy. And they haven't had a true quarterback since RG3 and Kirk Cousins.
Okay, I was about to say, because that really was probably the last time they were even really relevant.
Well, even then they weren't really relevant because they didn't win I think they went to the playoffs once during those years, or maybe twice, but nothing significant. But at least, that first year with RG3 when he was rookie of the year and they had Alfred Morris, like, they were dope. They were so fun to watch. But that was the last time they really had quarterbacks, was when they had Kirk Cousins. And then they messed around with Kirk Cousins. They were like, we kind of like you, but we don't like you enough to give you big money. And, once they decided not to give him big money, man, they just went all downhill from there. So they're in the same boat. Like, they haven't had a real quarterback in a while. So good for them, good for their fans. And, let's hope Jaden may be the quarterback in this draft that's got the highest fantasy value.
Okay.
Because I think he's going to get a lot more of the rushing yards. So that's where I don't think Caleb's going to have to run as much.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that's part of Jaden's game. And I think anytime a quarterback runs, they put up a little bit higher fantasy points. So Jaden Daniels for the fantasy leader of these quarterbacks.
Okay. I can understand that. So really then, anything else on Mr. Jaden Daniels before we go ahead and just go over to
It was
Drake
a small,
and just get that over with?
it was a small sample size, so there wasn't really much to say.
Okay. So then let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and we'll just talk about Drake May. I mean, I know from what I understood, he wasn't on the field too much.
He was on the field for like literally 3 plays.
Okay.
They gave him 1 series. So the starter got 1 series, he got 1 series, and then poor Bailey Zappi had to come in to finish the game and play most of the game, and then the fans just booed. It felt so bad for that kid. They just booed, and they weren't booing him, but they were booing the fact that the coaching staff pulled Drake May after 1 series. Like, why? Why? He threw 2 passes. He threw 3 passes, 2 complete, 1 incomplete. You didn't give him anything. You didn't give your fans anything. It's bad weather. It's horrible. He's not starting over Jacoby Brissett right now. So why don't you let the fans get out there and watch him? Unless you knew he was going to look really bad. And so we're just going to make things really easy on him. We're going to throw a couple things and then we're going to get him out of there. We don't want to crush his confidence or make him look bad.
There's that, I guess.
So, but that comes to the story is again, the Patriots also drafted Joe Milton in the 7th round.
That's right.
And when he got into the game, he got to play a good amount of the game, and he played really well. And he scored some points. He threw the ball. He threw a deep ball. He ran. He got the crowd excited. It's a really bad look for the Patriots. There's this like maybe Joe Milton might be better than Drake May and all this stuff, and it's like, well, hold on. Most likely Drake May is probably better, right?
We'd hope.
But why would you do that? Why would you take a guy number 3, immediately draft another guy in the 7th round while you have your veteran that's going to play most of the season? So if Drake May was going to start and then you didn't want to bring in a veteran to coach him up and you draft a 7th rounder at that point, that's fine, right? Because you still need a backup. But if you've already got a veteran, Jacoby Brissett, that can start or be the backup to Drake May, you don't need the 7th rounder. Right? Just it adds more pressure to Drake May that he doesn't need right now. Every time he throws a bad ball, there's going to be fans that are saying, "Put in Joe Milton. Let's see what Joe can do." You don't need that, man. You don't need that. And they did it to themselves. And if Joe keeps getting better, I mean, Joe had the strongest arm of anybody in this draft. Like that kid can throw like 70 yards with no problem. Like it's nasty. His arm is a bazooka. He just wasn't the best quarterback playing in the pocket. But if he can be coached up and he learns those things, now you got a weapon. So you never know. But again, it just adds more pressure to your 3rd round, your 3rd pick of the draft, Drake May. I can't rate it at one way or the other. It's a failure by the Patriots, in my opinion. He should have played 3 to 4 or 5 series, right? You already know what you got in Bailey Zappi. Like why Bailey Zappi's still on the team doesn't make sense at this point. Like I won't be shocked when he gets cut in like after the 2nd or 3rd game. He's getting cut. He's not going to be a Patriot anymore. So to have him play the whole game for the most part, besides a couple series that Joe got, just doesn't make any sense. So Dre, we're not going to beat up on you. The coaching staff pulled you early for one reason or another. So hopefully you get some more playing time next week.
Right. Which now takes us to a very interesting and controversial side of the NFL, which would be Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins.
Penix looked smooth, man. He looked smooth. Penix is probably like he's the quarterback that as long as you protect him, he's just throwing darts out there, man. He is just throwing darts. And as he continues to learn and sit behind Kirk Cousins, he's gonna get better and better. Like I feel bad for Cousins. I feel bad for him. Penix should be starting. Like, he should be starting. He's already a 24-year-old. He played a lot of college football. He'd have almost as many starts as Bo Nix if he had been healthy. I mean, if he'd been healthy, he probably would have got drafted a lot earlier. But
there is also that.
It's just one of those things. He looks good. He looks ready to play. I don't know if he really needs to sit. So it's kind of a bummer that they're going to waste probably 2 years of his career having him sit when he really doesn't need to, which is kind of short-sighted. And that when you signed Kirk Cousins, that was your plan. That was your plan. When you went out and you gave that guy all that money, that was your plan. Now, with the 8th pick of the draft, we're going to take Brock Bowers. We're going to line up Brock Bowers or we're just going to take Rome Odunze. We'll line up Odunze, Pitts, and Drake London with Kirk Cousins. Let's roll, right? No reason to take Penix there. No reason to have him sit for 2 years on the bench. Again, I understand where the owners get. We don't want to be in a situation where we don't have a quarterback. Yeah, but now you've taken away from your current quarterback by not getting him more pieces around him, which you could have done. And then you've also hamstring your future quarterback by having him sit for 2 years when he's probably ready to go now. So Penix looked good. I'm rooting for him. I still think it's a weird situation. I look forward to seeing Kirk Cousins and the Falcons in November when we head to New Orleans. Check out the Saints and the Falcons. It's going to be a good time. If anything happens to Kirk Cousins, maybe we're seeing Penix at that time.
Which is a big, big, big contingency right now for the Falcons because we still need to see how Cousins will do after his Achilles tear.
He should be. I think he's practicing. I think he's fine.
But he's got to stay healthy though. That's the big thing.
He's got to stay healthy for sure.
Well then, Pinky, this is to all you, man, Mr. Bo Nix.
We'll talk about JJ first. We'll finish with the Broncos.
We're gonna okay. So we'll do JJ then. All right. Well, let's get JJ taken care of.
So unfortunately for JJ, he tore his meniscus. He's got to have surgery. They said it was weird when they said like the next day he had some knee swelling and soreness, and I was like, man, this kid's like 22. If he woke up with knee swelling and soreness, something's wrong. Like that doesn't take a rocket scientist to be like a 22-year-old just doesn't wake up with knee soreness and swelling like that. So I'm glad they got him checked out, figured out it was a torn meniscus. They'll get him some surgery. Depending on how that goes, he'll be on the shelf for a while. It works out in this situation that he's definitely had ups and downs in training camp from what I've been following. It's hard not to be – you're going to make some rookie mistakes. But when you've got an offensive coach who's probably in your hip pocket, and then you've got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, like you're probably going to be okay, right? You're going to be all right.
You think?
He was starting to, in that preseason game, he threw some really good passes that make you go, okay, we got something. And that was just putting more pressure on Darnold. And Darnold doesn't need that. So it was just kind of a blessing for Darnold that for at least he's probably not going to have that same pressure on until probably like they get closer to midseason. If he starts to have a bad game or two midseason and McCarthy's healthy again and ready to roll, then he's got to worry again. But for at least for this next couple weeks, getting into the regular season, first couple weeks of the regular season, I don't think there's pressure for him right now, which is good. He needs to play free and let it rip, is what he needs to do. We're going to find out what Sam Darnold's got. I'm not a Sam Darnold truther. We know Caleb is. Caleb's always believed in the guy. And, hopefully for him, he can turn around and have a Baker-like season and get paid somewhere else, right? And go on to have a good career. But I haven't seen the consistency that he needs to do that. And I don't know if he's the intangible that Baker has that I don't think people give him enough credit for. He's a leader. Baker is a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Love him, hate him, whatever. He's a leader. And I think his teammates like playing with him. And I think that goes a long way versus I don't think Darnold's got I think that's probably one of the biggest issues with Darnold's game. Is he doesn't have any of the leadership qualities. He's just like, I'm out there, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna try to play hard, I'm gonna study, but he doesn't have any of the being a true leader. Telling his guys where they mess up, holding them accountable, holding himself accountable.
Yeah.
Sometimes being a rah-rah guy if you have to. Sometimes Tom Brady was a cheerleader. Sometimes Tom Brady was a tyrant. Peyton Manning was absolutely a tyrant, right?
Oh, yeah. Dude was an animal.
So Dan Marino.
He'll let you know.
Dan Marino was an a-hole. John Elway could be an a-hole. They were whatever their team needed at that time. And that's leadership, like it or hate it. It is leadership, and I just don't think Sam Darnold's got it in him. So hopefully he has a good year. Hopefully he proves me wrong. I hope he gets paid, but I don't know if I see that happening. But this will give him the opportunity he needs to play free and try to give it all he's got. For JJ did look good. Like I said, he threw an interception on his first series, I think, and then after that he calmed down and threw some great passes. Looked good out there. It's kind of weird. There is a weird Twitter battle / hate between Vikings fans and Broncos fans.
Why?
I think it's a battle of like JJ versus Bo Nix, and so that's like
that has nothing to. Okay.
If you pull up Twitter, like there's literally a Vikings fan talking shit about Bo Nix, then Broncos fans come in and talk shit about McCarthy. It's kind of weird. I don't get it. We're not in the same division. We're not, we play each other once every 4 years. I don't really get the being hateful to each other about it, but it's out there, man. It's weird. So,
oh, dude, yeah, holy crap,
right? I'm telling you, man. I don't know why there's so much hate on Twitter about it, but it's there.
What the hell? Okay. Hey, sure. If that's what makes you sleep at night, go for it.
Twitter troll's gonna have something to do, right? And then God bless Bo Nix. God bless Bo Nix. I will always remember that from the draft. Tony Scheffler.
Yeah.
Epic, man. That epic. And that jacket is straight fire. I need to get that jacket. I love that jacket he had on at the draft. But Bo Nix, like most of the quarterbacks, except for Drake May, and again, it wasn't Drake May's fault because he didn't really get to play. But Bo Nix had a really solid outing. Some people have been picking apart some of the aspects of his game. He should have done this or he should have done that. If you watched him, he eluded pressure. He looked great. He was making great calls, great changes. He got out of pressure. He didn't get sacked at all. He threw some dimes out there. That may be like for a preseason first game, first time we've seen him. And again, we've been desperately wanting a quarterback since Manning retired. Desperately.
Yeah, because we haven't had one.
There's
been no one.
And I can't remember anybody throwing the ball as well as Bo Nix did. At all. So I'm excited for Friday joint practice with the Packers. We'll get to see Bo Nix quite a bit more there against hopefully the Packers number ones.
I'm counting the hours down.
And then he's starting the game on Sunday as well. I don't think the Packers are going to play their starters. So I think Friday is where we're going to see, like, how does he do against the starters? Green Bay's got a pretty good defense. And then how does he do again on Sunday after taking away? I think one of the great attributes I think Bo Nix has is the guy doesn't make the same mistake twice. So I think any mistakes, any things that he does poorly on Friday, he will correct before the game on Sunday. And I'll tell you, man, like his touchdown pass in the game, it was an RPO, and I love that play because I guarantee you, defensive coaches are going to keep that play in mind throughout the season. And we're going to have options to run that play again. And what was great, had he just given the ball to the running back would have scored as well. Like, he didn't have to just launch it, which that throw that he made on that play is a really hard play. You're like, it's only a yard, but it's literally across your body. Like, get the ball, snap, chuck it so the defender can't even get near it. That ball was on a rope, man, and it was perfect. Perfect play design. There was a rub route on there as well. It's done very well. The rub route causes the guy covering Marvin Mims to have to go over the rub route, which is why he doesn't get there in time. If the ball's not thrown like that, it's a pick six the other way. It was awesome. And then he had the one wasn't completed in the end zone. He threw a 25-yard pass to Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds mistimes it and jumps just a little bit early to get it. If he doesn't jump and just keeps on, like, it's in his hands. Like, it's awesome. It was a dime. It was basically touchdown or incomplete. Like, the defender had no chance at it. We need a quarterback that can make those plays, throw into those tight windows, make the right decisions. Check down if the check down is what's available, right? Move the chains. Like, that's what Bo Nix does. Like, we are going to see some of the best football offensively that we've seen in years. And that's why Broncos country's excited. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, calm down, it's just a preseason game. No, I will not calm down. I'm just like Bears fans right now. Bears fans have never had a quarterback. They've got one. Like, they should be excited. They should be feeling, right?
Absolutely. And I was on, this was I think about a week or two ago. Listen to Cam on Mainly. And I was telling I'll probably at some point probably after like Christmas time or whatever get my custom one, but I really want to get a Knicks jersey. I really want to have a new, I don't have anything real Broncos. I want to get back to that because I used to have a lot. I fell out of it when I went overseas, came back. I'm really getting into it again. And I truly believe that Knicks is going to be something special for us because, like you said, we needed a quarterback. We've got one. It's exciting. There's a lot of hope. And that's the best part about preseason and everything happening right now is the hope is here. I mean, now let's see what happens when it gets to game time.
That's why I love the draft, right? It's the hope. It's the hope.
Yeah, and you were saying that and listening, really wanting the win for Detroit just because they are hopeful, they are loyal, and they believe in their team, which is something that, in my memory, the Lions really haven't had. And they have something right now, and it's exciting. And that's why again, like you said, I'm excited for Bo Nix as well. I think it's going to be a great season. And I don't want to say that he's going to ball out, but I definitely think it's going to be an amazing thing to watch. And it's just going to be like,
there's going to be weeks he's on fire. There's going to be weeks that he might struggle a little bit depending on the defense we're playing, but it'll be the best quarterback play we've seen since Peyton Manning. I have no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. And I think and I think a lot of the media came around this week of just like, well, we did say the best place for Bo Nix to be was with Sean Payton because he does exactly what Sean Payton wants him to do. So that might be the best situation. Yeah, it really is. Of any of the rookie quarterbacks, him and McCarthy have the two offensive coaches. Like all the other guys are defensive coaches. So these two are in really good positions. Minnesota definitely a better position because they have actual wide receivers. We've got 2s and 3s. We don't have a true number 1. That's what we need to do. Next draft, we need to get whoever the top wide receiver is. That's who we need to get, and let's roll. So I'm just excited for it. I'm super excited for Friday. Friday's going to be a blast hanging out with you, Andy, our boy Scotland from work, my buddy Jeremiah. It's going to be a good time, man. We're going to have a blast. We'll see Cam. Cam will be there.
Cool.
So it'll be a great time. But hope is back in Broncos country. Let the haters hate. And again, that was probably the best game of the preseason to watch back and forth. If you didn't get a chance, Robert, I can give you my...
I watch the highlights.
Okay. I can give you my NFL Plus login. You can go back and watch it. It was good.
I might need to get that from you tomorrow because I definitely need to watch some of this from this last weekend for sure.
Or you just watch next weekend. This weekend coming up should be where most of the starters play.
I should be able to watch a good portion of them. I actually got to check.
Any of the teams that are playing their starters will probably play a quarter and a half, and then they'll be done. And then the third preseason game, I don't see. Most teams aren't playing starters at all that third preseason game.
So this Sunday, so I guess my schedule got posted for soccer. So I've got a game at 12 this Sunday, so I'll be able to catch a lot of the afternoon games here.
Broncos games at 6, man. Let's hang out.
I'll be watching. Yee. You know it.
It's gonna be good, buddy.
I'll need to hang out because I'll be sore.
Just don't pull anything, my friend.
I'm doing my stretches. I'm doing my yoga in the morning to loosen up and make sure I'm not going to be stupid. Although I do need to run more consistently, I will say that's the next box to check.
That's a tough one because nobody likes running. Let's just be honest. Only crazy people like running.
I love running.
Yeah, you're crazy, bro. I can't. Getting on a treadmill with nothing to do, like that just doesn't work.
My fastest 5K time, I think, was like 21 minutes.
Gross. All right.
I love it.
You know what? This might be a record. We're less than an hour and a half. What's the last words? Caleb always does the outro, so I don't know.
Cherish those moments with your friends, families, and loved ones. Take care of each other, be there for each other. That's what we do this for. We're always here to talk nonsense and sports and have a good whiskey. Reach out to us. We love you guys. Thanks for the support. Like, share, and follow.
So like, share, follow, subscribe. Hit us up if you want to talk. If you want to call us crazy idiots, you have a great topic you want to bring up, hit us up. We do have quite a few shows on the network. MHRT, mainly Broncos. 5280 is also Broncos. There's Broncos Breakdown. A lot of Broncos on this channel. But
that's why it's nice to have the nonsense and other sport topics because we the three of us watch a lot of other sports. So Pinky, we don't get into it. I'm sorry, but it's gonna start happening because we're doing this more consistently here. The Premier League is getting ready to start as well.
Bro,
so soccer's about to be talking about it. Like we're gonna be watching and talking about it.
I bet on soccer today. Okay.
Did you really?
I sure did.
I would love to see that bet. I would love to see that bet.
I bet baseball yesterday and it did not go well. And so there was a tennis bet from a guy that's on a pretty good streak. And then I saw a soccer bet. And he had 3 things on the soccer bet, and I couldn't figure out what the third one meant. It was a team to qualify, and I couldn't find how to bet that. I should have just bet them to win because they won.
Team? What was the team?
It was like Sparta FC or something. They won, so I should have just bet them to win. And that would have worked out fine, but I just didn't throw them in the parlay, and it still worked out for me. I still made money.
Interesting.
So it was a pretty good day betting wise, soccer and tennis.
Well, August 7th, Friday, excuse me, is when the first match is. Arsenal plays on Saturday at 8 a.m. That's match day 1 of 38. So,
and then
that will be
UFC 305 this weekend as well, Saturday night.
Oh shoot!
Adesanya's back at it. All right. Well, with that note, Caleb, we miss you. Hopefully, we'll get you on the next one. I know the wife's out of town next week. We'll see. But everybody have a great weekend. Cherish those loved ones. Have a great time. We're out.
See ya.
Fast lane when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my life.